We have been through some pretty stormy seas these last few years. And my goal on this channel is to leave a lot of that hogwash behind and to focus on keeping your head above the waves in these stormy seas. I want to add positive value to your life. And I like to use some of my own life experience and the things that I've been through to help you chart your course. Heaven knows that I have had some rocky seas in my life, but there is, especially over these last few years, doing the work that I'm involved in terms of helping people understand their rights and stand up for freedom and apply the rule of law. And I'm still dealing with that in court cases, and that takes a lot of perseverance. I've given you a couple of my key words in the past, and the ones that come to mind now are optimism and determination. So I am a rather cheerful, positive, optimistic person by nature. But as I've said before, and I'll say it again, positive thinking is not enough. You do need to take action, and you do need to apply these principles in your life. I like to spend a lot of time thinking on paper, meaning that I take a notebook and I take a pen and I actually write out my troubles, my concerns, my questions, my decisions, my uncertainties. And I love to get all of that out on paper so that I can look at it a little more clearly and determine, what exactly, where do I have control in my life and where do I not? So I shared this in one of the private classes that I did. Those of you that are supporters, and if you are a subscriber to my peggyhall.tv channel or a subscriber to my Substack from my other channel, The Healthy American, or if you have ever sent me a donation, you are invited to my monthly live Q&A webinar. And in the last one, I shared something that I really enjoyed so much that I wanted to share it with you again. And what I do with my problems is I will put a line down the center of the page. And on the one side, I will list all of the problems that I'm facing, all of the things that are irritating me, that are troubling me. It can be something so large, such as, when will abortion ever be outlawed? Because I believe in the sanctity of life. I believe that one life is not more important than another. I don't believe in taking the innocent life of a vulnerable developing baby just for the convenience of the mother. And I know you probably didn't come to this channel for a morality lesson, but the point is, I will put large issues like that on my, on the one side of the page. And then I will put other things that are maybe less significant or more trivial or more mundane, such as, I need to get the garbage disposal fixed, or why is the oil light still on in my car, or I need to fix this or that. So whatever is troubling me, whether they are large concerns, whether they are everyday sort of instances, I will write those down. And then I have a line down the center. And on the other side of the page, I write down what is in my control and what is not. And what is not in my control, I give over to God. What is in my control, I will brainstorm 2 or 3, maybe even more, things that I can do to actually take care of that. And even in the issue, this cultural issue of abortion, I can even write something down there that maybe I will send out a video, or I will make a donation, or I will show up at a rally. So once I actually look at what is troubling me and I come up with ideas of what I can do, it gives me such great peace of mind. I may not even follow up on all of these solutions, but at least it helps me get out of the spin cycle. And friends, what we've been through in the last few years, the spin cycle is exactly where the hogwashers want you to be. They want you to be spinning in despair. They want you to be always on guard for the next incident, for the next emergency, for the next hogwashing. That's why newspapers and media and television and social media probably exist, is to get more eyeballs on these scary headlines so that you are constantly living in a state of hypervigilance. You may not even realize how much anxiety and fear is driving your everyday. And that's why I want you to remember that there is a part of your life that no one can have access to, and that, unless you allow it, and that is your thoughts and your feelings. So those are, and really your actions. So your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are under your control. Over these last few years, people have said to me, Peggy, how did you do it? How did you, not comply? How did you keep going through all of this hogwash? And it's because I never gave in, gave up, or gave over that deeper part of myself. I never let the tyrants, the oppressors, the hogwashers steal my soul. I literally would seek out ways that I could keep that joy of living alive. And one way that I would do that, well, one way, of course, is through prayer. I'm a person of faith, so I spend a lot of time praying and listening to God and determining his direction and desire for my life, his will for my life. This is something that I also journal about. So I pray, I listen, I journal, and I live. I live my life in ways that bring me joy and satisfaction. And even through all of this hogwash of the last few years, when I was not able to get on a plane, or I chose not to go on a plane because I wouldn't suffocate myself, and I chose to not swim at the community pool because they wanted me to wear the suffocation device outside 10 feet to walk through a gate. It's like, I'm not going to compromise my God-given breath. I worship God by breathing. And through all of this, through the lawsuit that I have against the corrupt public serpents in the county of Orange, California, I still have not allowed the tyrants to steal my soul. And I do that by intentionally seeking out ways of living that bring me joy. I intentionally seek out who I want to be with, how I want to spend my time, what I want to think, how I want to feel, what types of actions I want to make. Now, friends, I am far from perfect. There are many days when I'm still up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning because I got sucked into the social media vortex. And it's like, oh, I wish that I had gone to bed earlier. I wake up tired and then I need some coffee. And I get into that, little bit of the spin cycle where I realize I want to get off and start living a more sane, rational life where I'm not giving myself over to all of these sensationalized headlines. But I'm aware of it. And that is one of the powers that I have and you have, is the power of awareness to determine, do I like what I'm doing right now? Three of the most important questions that I like to ask myself are these. Number one, what am I thinking and why am I thinking it? And I will write that down in my journal. Literally, what are the thoughts that are going through my mind right now? Am I thinking that I have so much to do and I don't have enough time? Well, that thought is going to lead to the feeling of overwhelm. And overwhelm can lead to the action of procrastination, or at least I should say inaction of procrastination, not taking action because I'm feeling overwhelmed. So you can see that cycle right there. The thought influencing the emotion influencing the action or the lack of action. But what if I took that thought and instead of saying, oh my gosh, I have so much to do and I don't have enough time to do it, now replacing it with the thought that says I have all the time in the world is a little far-fetched. Even I wouldn't believe that. But what I could do is make a priority list of maybe 3 things that I want to accomplish. And I could write that down in my journal, and I could schedule a time in my notebook on my calendar where I will spend 30 minutes doing this, 20 minutes doing that, 60 minutes doing this. And then I can accurately and authentically, sincerely and confidently say, I have time to complete these important tasks. Today, I am focusing on these important tasks, and then bring in some emotion. It feels great to be working on these important tasks. I feel organized and focused today. Those are feelings that I can conjure up. Those feelings of being organized and focused can lead to an action of working simply, methodically, without a sense of overwhelm and dread. So these are the areas of your life that you have control over. These are the areas where they can't get at you unless you allow it. So how do we allow those things? Well, speaking for myself, I can spend more time than I desire on social media. My nature of work does result in my receiving hundreds and hundreds of emails from lovely subscribers that send me links to videos and blog posts and Substacks talking about all of the current events. And I have to consciously put in my boundaries where there are certain things that I'm just not going to think about or talk about or research, because there are plenty of other people doing that. And that's not in my wheelhouse, as they say. So I have that ability to set those boundaries. Sometimes I'll be with people and the people want to talk about XYZ, where I prefer to talk about ABC. So I can steer that conversation by introducing new topics. I can get up and leave the gathering if I feel that it's going in that direction, or I could leave momentarily until that topic has resolved itself. So these are actions that I can take when I find that I might be drifting into areas where I feel that I'm giving over my thoughts, my emotions, my time, my energy, my resources to parts of life that I really don't want to, where I may feel overwhelmed, I may feel burdened, I may feel anxious, on guard in terms of the next hogwashing that's going to be sloshed. So in those times, that's where this journal comes in handy. I can write out some action steps that I can take in terms of making sure that I guard my thoughts, my emotions, and my actions. It's actually quite biblical as well. The Bible does say that we are to take every thought captive. So I didn't get to finish all my questions, but one of the questions, the question I started out with is, what am I thinking and why am I thinking that? So I write it down in the journal. What am I feeling and why am I feeling that? Usually I'm feeling something because of a thought or maybe because of an action that left me feeling a certain way. Maybe the action of procrastination left me feeling a little like I didn't honor what I wanted to do. I let myself down. So that could be a feeling of let down. So it's all interconnected. And then I'll ask myself, what am I doing and why am I doing it? These questions help to inform me and help to keep me on task, and also help me to create these boundaries so that I don't let the bad guys in. I don't let those evildoers and their agendas and their thought and their desire to control my thoughts and my emotions and my actions. I put up those boundaries. I want you to remember that you have control over what you think. There's no way that you actually can ever know what somebody else thinks. So just focus on what you think. And even though somebody may tell you their feelings, we still don't know if that is accurate and genuine in terms of what they really are feeling. So don't give that too much thought or too much importance. What you think and what you feel and what your actions are under your control. So let's make those things count.